Blake Lively just did the unthinkable. She handed her enemies a loaded gun, and then she pulled the trigger herself. Girl, what were you thinking? Because right now, Sony executives are passing around her own letter like it's the juiciest group chat screenshot ever, and they're dying laughing. One literally wrote, "Epic level stupid what she did." Another said, "She's cooked." Oh, but it gets so much better. See, Blake thought she was being smart. She wrote this whole letter to the Producers Guild, trying to get that shiny producer credit. You know, the one that gets you into award season, the one that makes you look legit. But honey, she forgot one tiny little detail. Everything she bragged about in that letter completely contradicts her lawsuit. Like, completely. She's out here in court saying she was powerless, victimized, silenced, pushed aside. But in this letter, she's basically screaming, "I ran everything." Wait, let me read you what she actually wrote, because you need to hear this. "I led the location shift. I identified and onboarded freelance team members. I reshaped the creative and production design for all key locations." Girl, that's not a supporting actress, that's a boss. Oh, but she's not done. "I called in favors with home design contacts." Okay, cute. "I outreached to florists on Instagram." Wait, florists? Florists. Blake Lively was sliding into florists' DMs for this movie, and now she wants us to believe she had no control? Make it make sense. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. She admitted she rewrote the script, like full-on script doctor vibes. She said 3 actresses turned down a role, so she rewrote it. Then she goes, "I managed politics and HR concerns on a daily basis." Daily. She was acting as interim HR, keeping crew and cast engaged, safe, and on board. Sis, you were the HR department. You were the writer. You were the casting director. You were the everything. And now you're in court saying you were sidelined? The math isn't mathing. Oh, and don't even get me started on marketing. Blake says she directed trailers, approved copy, chose color palettes and fonts, decided when to release content, guided international rollouts. At this point, I'm like, what was Sony's marketing team even doing? Taking naps? Because Blake was apparently running the whole show, and Sony knows it. Their private texts are absolutely brutal. One exec wrote, "She's done, at least for a while." Another said, "She's retiring or something, Ava Mendes time." Ouch. But the absolute killer line, she did it to herself. Not, "We're worried about her," not, "We need to protect her," just, she did it to herself. And honestly, they're not wrong. Because here's the tea. Blake thought this letter would make her look important. Instead, it became the smoking gun in her own case. She outlined everything she controlled, every meeting, every decision, every rewrite. And now her lawyers are scrambling. Because how do you argue powerlessness when your client literally wrote a 10-page brag sheet? You can't. Oh, and fun fact is, the director's cut tested better than Blake's version. Sony said so in their private messages. But did Blake care? Nope. She pushed her version through anyway, because apparently the film was always my top priority. Girl, your version of the film was the priority, let's be honest. And now it's all coming back to bite her. Because people who actually have a case, they don't write novels defending themselves. They let the facts speak. But Blake, she wrote a manifesto, page after page of "I did this, I did that, I'm so important." It reads like a LinkedIn humble brag on steroids. And now it's evidence. Time-stamped, signed, sealed. Courts don't care about your reputation. They don't care about your Instagram followers. They care about documents. And Blake just handed them a whole filing cabinet. Here's what makes this even more delicious. She wasn't leaked. She wasn't hacked. She literally submitted this herself. She put her name on it, asked the guild to read it, and now it's public record. That's not cancel culture, babe. That's self-sabotage. And Hollywood noticed immediately. Because once that paper trail exists, nobody wants to touch you. Studios protect their brands, not individual actors, especially not ones with problematic receipts. So Sony's doing what any smart corporation does. They're going silent. No public statements, no defense, just radio silence. Because defending Blake now means defending her letter, and defending that letter means admitting they let her run wild. And admitting that means explaining why they called it insane behind closed doors. Yeah, that's not happening. So they'll sit back, let the lawyers handle it, and quietly distance themselves. It's not personal, it's business. And in business, when the risk outweighs the reward, you cut ties fast. At trial, this letter will be read out loud. Every line, every brag, every contradiction, and Blake's team will have to explain how someone with no power rewrote scripts, hired crew, directed marketing, managed HR. Good luck with that. Because the receipts are damning. She described total authority while claiming victimhood. She outlined control at every level while crying exclusion. She documented decision-making while arguing she was silenced. Pick a lane, sis. You can't be the boss and the victim, not when you wrote it all down. And that's the wildest part of this whole mess. Blake wasn't taken down by haters. She wasn't destroyed by the media. She wasn't betrayed by insiders. She walked into court, handed them a letter, and said, "Here's all the proof you need." Against herself. Hollywood is shook, because if Blake Lively can fumble the bag this hard, anyone can. And now she's watching her career crumble one page at a time. All because she couldn't resist bragging. The lesson here is, sometimes the biggest threat to your reputation is your own ego, and Blake just proved it, in writing, with her signature on it. This isn't a trial anymore, it's a masterclass in self-destruction, and the receipts, they're permanent.